Hi, I'm Matt Hernandez, and this is Book Chat with You. In this and almost every episode, I try to make it be a conversation with you about literature. Today, we're going to look at Margaret Atwood's short story Happy Endings. I'm looking at it here in this short story collection. Once again, the story and its writer, edited selections selected by Anne Charters. This story is so short that when I would edit this later on for video, when I eventually get to that, I'm not even going to include the text on the screen, because if I ever run any chance of risking fair use, exceeding what's fair use, well, this story on this printed version is 3 pages. And if you printed it on normal print without this tiny little print font, then it's probably like barely 5 pages, very short. So this story does remind me a bit of the story Scenes by Carol Shields. In this story, Happy Endings, it's just almost like a random amalgamation. Never before have I really seen too many stories which has almost sort of separate chapters, A, B, C, D, E, F. And the later they are, the shorter they are than the previous one. The first one is the one happy one. John and Mary fall in love. And the next one, in B, Mary falls in love with John, but John doesn't love Mary. He's just using her for sex. Even the use of the word fuck, the way it's used here, you can kind of see it. There's no adoration there. Now, in the description below, I will include a link to this story, to the text of the story, and also an audio reading of it. What's good with an audio reading sometimes is that you get a certain emotion from the narrator, which I suspect is oftentimes somewhere close to the approximation of the emotion that the author had intended. And you can kind of feel some of the cynicism and stuff in here. Then we go here, C. John is older. Mary falls in love with her. Mary's only 22. She feels sorry for him, I guess because his hair is falling out. I sometimes wonder what this obsession is with hair falling out. I kind of have it, right? Because I think my uncle was bald by 30. So I don't want my hair to so I have to enjoy it while I got it. But I hope that I would bald gracefully. I can only hope. Then it says, John is married to Madge, and this is still in part C. They have 2 children. They have hobbies. Then it says, here, D, Fred and Madge. They have no problems. That's how you say this, right? Madge. Maybe I should have re-listened to the audio reading of this to have gotten that. Okay, here, E. Yes, Fred has a bad heart. Fred dies. Madge devotes herself to charity work until the end of A. When I was rereading this just now to the end of A, I think I was supposed to go back and sort of reread this and decipher this, but part of me kind of doesn't want to. Because then what it says here is, you'll have to face it, the endings are the same, and this is at the end, even after this little tiny micro chapter, F. You'll have to face it, the endings are the same however you slice it. Don't be deluded by any other endings. They're all fake. Either deliberately fake, or with malicious intent to deceive. So the funny thing is here is, when I reread this story before doing this video, during this podcast, I feel like I'm supposed to kind of circle around and keep rereading and putting it together. Is there something here? How are they using this name? How are these fitting together? When you look at here, it says, until the end of A. Am I supposed to reread A? But then it tells me that it's all fake. What is this? There's a kind of cynicism running through this. Now, I'm not familiar with Margaret Atwood's work. I know she wrote the, what do you call that? The Handmaid's Tale. I'd seen like 2 episodes of that. And if anything, all that I liked from one of them was that it played a song from a band that I like. And other than that, I didn't care for it. My wife had watched it. I don't know. It's like my wife finds a series of a show, and then she'll watch the first season over and over again because she'll get busy with something else. So it's I end up watching it more than her. That didn't happen with this, but it happened with a few other shows like This Is Us or something. It's after a while, I have a better idea about what's going on than her. What this kind of reminded me, though, actually was here. If it's on video, maybe you can see me holding up the cover, is the Sensational Spider-Man issue 38. It says Back in Black. And this is before they redid the whole series. They did kind of a soft reboot, or maybe it was kind of a hard reboot, with brand new day. And in here, J. Jonah Jameson kind of says this: we live, or we're born, we live, we die. And it's the details between that which matter. I thought that was a pretty profound statement at one point. But here, it's like Margaret Atwood is saying the opposite here. I mean, all that matters is that we kind of just die at the end, which to me was so much the opposite whenever I looked at Carol Shields' story scenes about the character Francis. We're jumping to various moments in this character's life, and it's the most mundane scenes that sort of matter, you know? I mean, well, a throwaway sentence that I had with somebody earlier is going to prompt me to make another podcast, another video right after this one. There will be a separate podcast from this. And sometimes it's those random moments that matter. But there's something in the story with Margaret Atwood that is something about love or sex or something like this, and that's our life, but it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of fake. I'll read it directly from here. John and Mary die. John and Mary die. John and Mary die. That's the only authentic ending. I mean, I don't know. I feel in a sense I'm supposed to read this through in a circle over and over and over again and see whatever else. But with the hastening of making a video, but in a sense, if I wasn't to have made a video, wasn't to have made a podcast, then I probably would have only read it twice, right? So rather than as many times to make this. And if you can see something else in this story, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. And yeah, I do betray myself a little bit because I do mean to pose more questions and such when making this. And I mean, what do you see of this? I'll post the story, text and audio. Is this being cynical, nihilistic, existentialist? Means something else ism that is lacking whatever passion or whatever for life? I mean, yeah, so much for endings. Beginnings are much more fun. That's what it says here. I mean, what is that supposed to mean? We're just supposed to like the beginnings of a relationship? Is this something to be drawn to not have whatever these moments of a relationship are? Well, I think that this audio video podcast has been long enough. I hope you enjoy listening to this, and I will see you next time. Bye.